Welcome, everybody, to episode 10 of the Pinnacle Combat Sports Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Jim, with my boy, Dano. What's going on, Dan? How you doing?
Good, man. How you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. Those are some pretty crazy fights last night. I mean, I didn't get to watch all of them, but I watched the main three, and I saw a clip of another one. We'll get to that, obviously. What did you think of the fights?
They were good, man. The main card was, the majority of the fights were finishes, so that's a recipe for a pretty good card, most times.
Hell yeah. Nice.
Plus, there were some surprises too, like in some ways, I would imagine, but
Mm-hmm.
we'll get into it. But yeah, well, how do you want to get into? Do you want to jump right into this card first?
Well, I just wanted to mention a couple small things before we start with that card from last night. Since we talked last on the last episode, there was a press conference scheduled for last Monday for Michael Chandler and Conor McGregor in Dublin, Ireland, at one of the arenas there. And I had heard that it had sold out in 5 minutes. So that was scheduled for June 3rd, I believe. And the day before, they canceled it. And everyone was speculating what was going on, if McGregor was injured or I don't know. That was pretty surprising at first. But
It was,
I
yeah.
guess as of right now, it's been almost a week later. All speculation aside, they're still doing June 29th. There's no issue. Fight's still on as far as I know, unless you've heard anything different.
No, nothing I've heard any different. I mean, it also wouldn't have been advertising last night. They're doing like the $10 off if you purchase it
Mm-hmm.
by a certain date or whatever it is. So
Yeah, they did
they wouldn't be
stop that
doing that.
on. They stopped that on Sunday last week
Yes,
because
yeah.
they weren't
I
sure.
was kind of worried.
Yeah. But I'm glad it's still on. This is something that obviously everybody's been looking forward to. The return of Conor McGregor and just Conor Chandler matchup is going to be awesome. And, I know we're excited about it. So,
Absolutely, yeah. Plus, it's good for Chandler too because it's like he's been waiting around for so long at a very key time in his career because he's not going to be around forever too. So it's like you just kind of hope at the end of it there is a fight, because that would be disappointing.
yeah. And Chandler, like you mentioned, he's paid his dues in this business. He's fought for a long time. And, even if it's
It's a
not
big
for a
fight for him.
title, it's a big fight, big money fight, big eyes on, all the eyes on him. And if he outperforms, who knows? Sky's the
One big
limit.
night. One big night. That's how you got to look at it.
Yep.
I got one big night. This is like a crazy, like what a cherry on top of a career.
Yeah.
But
Speaking
we'll
of
get into that.
speaking of things getting rescheduled, Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fight was, I think, what was it originally scheduled for? Like
July something I can't remember.
July
Sometime in the teens maybe or
July 20th. I have it
okay.
here. But I guess I heard that Tyson was on a plane and had some health issue and had to get off the plane.
hmm
So I think I heard, I don't know if you know, I think I heard it was an ulcer or something. Does that sound
Something
right?
like that. Yeah. That's what I heard.
Yeah. So after that, there was talks of the fight being canceled and Jake Paul was looking for a new opponent. But then as of the other day, they rescheduled the whole card for November 15th. What was it? Yeah, November 15th. Still at the same
Should
place at Dallas Stadium. It's still going to be free on Netflix. Everyone on the card is all the same. No fights have changed, so that's good, I guess. More time to hype the
yeah,
matchup. So
sure. I'm surprised it's pushed that far back, but
yeah, that seems. I mean, that's 6 months or something, right? Or
yeah,
4 or 5 months.
a lot can happen in that time frame. But like you said, it's good that it's all the same as far as the card. It's all just pushed to a
Yeah,
later date in the year, so that's cool. Either way, I mean, if they want to do it, who's going to stop them? I just don't. It doesn't appeal to me, but
yeah, yeah. It does.
not
There's not much on the
necessarily.
line necessarily. But it'll be fun,
Yeah,
and since it's well, not free, but free on Netflix if you have a Netflix subscription, I'm sure millions of people are going to watch. And it's going to be a spectacle, and they're going to get close to selling that place out. And maybe that was an issue too. Selling that place out, getting 80,000+ people in there is going to be tough.
sure. No, I'm sure it will be.
Yeah.
It's just that the age is just so tough. Because what is Jake Paul, like 20? What is he now?
Yeah, I don't
Something.
know. He's
Is he
20, yeah,
25? Or is he older?
27. He's 27.
Man,
Yeah. 30-year
like
difference.
imagine, but just imagine Mike Tyson at that age. It's just you wouldn't even want to glance at him. Like the wrong, like that must have been the closest thing to feeling like you're in the room with like a wild animal. Like
Yeah.
him in his prime, if he entered the room, you'd be like, oh, he's free. He's probably. I know I would.
I'd be scared to
But
shake his hand.
yeah, same. I would just be scared to say the wrong thing.
Yeah, right.
As nice as he has, been, and but just he is who he look. He just reminds me of like a lion as a man.
Yeah.
Looked like a man lion, like to me. It's hilarious, but
Yeah. That's crazy. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I mean, I don't know. I just don't like Jake Paul, so I want Tyson to win. And I know like
I'm
he's
not a
still
fan.
got some fire in him. And like in boxing, man, it only takes one good connection. And, I'm sure Tyson still hits hard. So if he gets in there and wants to take him out, I don't know. There's always a chance, but Jake Paul is just so much younger, and he's actually like he's got a lot of power too, and he's a decent boxer and everything. So,
Oh, for
um,
sure. The power's there. The skills are like that. It's there. It's not. You can't completely discount it all. But I just don't. I don't personally like the tactics. It just seems like he's always fighting someone smaller. That's kind of what I'm getting at. But um, I don't know. It's also with such a high of a level, like combat sports, and not even just UFC gym, right? Like there's so many other
hmm
ways you can get that, and it doesn't have to be just MMA. It can be other type of combat sports. Like we said, the karate combat's puts a pretty good. I think it's a pretty good product
yeah.
already. It's just starting, so
Oh, did you
they have a
see
ton of
that?
different things.
I didn't have this on the list of things to talk about, but did you see the latest Karate Combat and who fought on it?
No, well, maybe.
And
Who you talking about?
he won by knockout, by the way. So I'll start with that. It was the Firefest guy. Did you ever watch that documentary about Firefest?
Oh Jesus, I don't know which one, but yeah, I watched that.
The main guy that was behind it, the
I can't
white
see his
guy.
face. I can't see his
Um,
face. I know you're talking about though. That's wild.
he fought on that card, and he knocked the dude. I can't remember who he fought, and obviously I didn't even know. I didn't even connect one and two with his name when I saw the card lineup or whatever. But apparently he knocked out his opponent, whoever he was. Which I don't know. The guy, if you look at him, he doesn't look like a fighter. I feel like that could have been his first fight in his whole life. you know,
Wow.
and he knocked the dude out, and I was like, wow. First of all, why is this guy? How did this happen? How did they set this up? Right? Why is he on the Karate Combat card? And then like, wow, he outperformed. Proved everyone wrong and knocked this dude out. It was kind of crazy.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that, and I saw that the other day. Oh, and another thing, I don't know if you saw this. I'm sure you did on Instagram. What's his name? Eddie, the bodybuilder from England, Eddie.
Yeah, I saw the Eddie Hall.
Eddie Hall, yeah, you saw that video of him. They put him in the ring with like two little people,
Oh my God.
and he just power bombed one of them, and then the guy got up and he knocked him out cold in one hit, and they stopped the fight. That was crazy. Oh my God, what are they doing over there?
Yeah, the same guy got the double dose. That was rough.
Oh my
He
God.
like just got up and he just like I don't know what he like. I mean, like you totally understand when someone throws a naked right hand, but like, why would you throw a naked right hand If you're 3.5 feet tall
Yeah.
and you're fighting a guy who's legitimately one of the strongest men on earth.
He's probably close to 10 times the size of one of those guys.
He throws a good punch though, doesn't he?
Yeah,
Like
he does. Yeah, he does. Well,
for a butt, like,
He's been training with Tom Aspinall and all that.
but even so, a lot of times they're just super stiff.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's like fluid. But he seems like you get the power from his punches, like as opposed to some people just don't.
Yeah.
They don't seem like they're throwing it to the best of their ability. Either way, I mean, Jesus, what a mismatch, huh, Jim? I mean,
They
I
they
feel
could have
like I
used a
feel like it would
couple
take more than
other.
two.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it should have been maybe four.
Five, 4 or 5.
Yeah,
Yeah.
five. Oh yeah,
Because then there'd be
five
like
piece
a
would have been.
legit. There'd be. He'd have to think about things. All right, where's everyone at? You know, you can get him from any side. Yeah, that's a
The
crazy,
periphery, the
crazy idea.
periphery angles can be difficult. Then you never know. Like he's next thing you know, one's on your back, and then you
Yeah.
got two at your legs. It's like it could be, heel hook.
Mm-hmm.
One could have a real good heel hook. I don't know how many it would take, but it'd be more than two.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was wild.
Well, let's get into last night's card. You watched more of it than I did. My friend asked if I wanted to come over and watch the hockey's finals game, so he's been over here watching UFC every couple weeks. So I figured I'd go to his place and watch some hockey with him. So I missed most of the card, but I caught the last 3 fights. So Rojas Jr., obviously Cannonier and Imavov, and then I caught Dominic Reyes. But you tell me some other. Oh, I saw the clip of what was his name? The guy that won by knee to the body. That was crazy.
Yes, let me scan.
Um,
Oh, the Brazilian dude. That was the dude I was telling you about, the Carlos
yeah,
Prates or
Pratis. Yeah,
Prates, the Prates.
that was
I don't know how
crazy.
to pronounce it correctly, but I know I will get it down soon because that dude's a problem. So he will be ranked. He's a tough puzzle to crack because it's like he's a rangy,
Nice.
he's welterweight. Like he's fun, man. He's dangerous.
So, what were some other good fights that you wanted to mention? Any other good ones that stuck out to you, even in the preliminary card?
In the prelims, I would say early on, the first one that stuck out for me was Daniel Marcos. He's I think it's a Peru. I have to look it up. Let's see. Yes, he's from Peru. Daniel Marcos.
Yeah.
He is bantamweight, American Combat Gym. Dude, you got to watch that guy.
Okay.
You got to watch that fight because that dude's impressive. He's going to be someone that could be now he's 16-0. So
16-0.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So and the dude he fought has been in the UFC, John Castaneda. So
Uh,
Castaneda's been, I don't know how many fights, but I've seen him before. So
mm-hmm. And it looks like he
um,
won by unanimous decision, 30-27, all the way through.
you'll just be impressed by his striking. Like he's just like he's dangerous. He's gonna be dangerous at that weight, put it that way. But I'm kind of curious on what you think about that one. You should watch the Carlos Paredes.
Yeah.
Um, Ludovic Klein he looked really good against Thiago Moises. And then Punahele Soriano looked awesome. I think that's his first fight at 170. He was dropped
Oh
down and
wow.
he was
Two.
successful with wrestling. That's what he was saying. He was like, oh, finally, I'm like, I can actually wrestle with these guys because middleweights are too big for me to wrestle with them
Huh.
successfully. So,
Well, two of the
what were you gonna say?
judges gave him 2 10-8 rounds.
Oh, there was terrible judging. The first fight of the night was incorrectly scored. I watched it. The first fight,
Oh
Dos
yeah. Look at
Santos
this.
and Tomar.
Yeah.
I scored it 27-30.
Okay.
So no, what I mean is like according to them, I would have been 27-30, the opposite way. But Dos Santos won that fight 30-27 in my eyes,
Yeah.
and they gave it to
Oh,
He gave
really?
it to the other side. Yeah,
Yeah, I see the
click on
decisions
that
right
fight.
here because one of them gave the fight completely opposite of that,
Yep.
30-27 to Tomar.
Well, that would be the opposite. That would be 30-27 for Dos Santos if it's 27-30, right? If
Yeah,
they gave it to Tamar. That's how I scored it, Jim. Yeah.
yeah,
30-27 for Dos Santos. It was wild. I was like, what? It
yeah.
wasn't even close. It wasn't even close.
That's
If you
crazy.
watch that fight, Tamar was on the back foot,
Huh.
pretty much back to the cage. Most of the not back to the cage, but circling on that back side of that cage behind that black
Mm-hmm.
most of the fight. Which to me it's like
See, I think
you're
that's
you
what
know,
kind of what happened last week with we were
you
talking
gotta be
about
landing.
Strickland. You know, like because Strickland didn't do a whole lot during the fight, but he controlled the whole fight, right?
Mostly
But
just didn't give him much to work with either.
in the judges, they were kind of all over the place on that fight too. And I think
Yeah.
that I just don't think I think the judges are always looking for damage, and when there's no damage, they don't know what they're looking for. Does that make sense?
Dude, they've been awful. I I suppose I don't know, man. It's been bad though.
Yeah.
That was a really bad one. And then let's see, what was the one you just referenced? They didn't mess up the climb.
Oh, the
Ludovic
one
climb was easy.
it was Soriano and Baeza, Miguel Baeza. Two of the judges gave him two 10-8 rounds.
Yes. I think it justified it because it's just like he was he was doing a lot. He was landing a lot. Whether Baez showed it, he had a good poker face, but he was getting beat up pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just rust. I don't know if it's just Soriano fighting big guys, and now all of a sudden he could be the bully once.
Huh.
And now if it was kind of nice because I was expecting a competitive fight, and it really wasn't. Baez, Baez is so dangerous, but he just never really was able to get off against Soriano. He did a good job of mixing up the wrestling and the striking.
Huh.
And then Zachary Reese won super quick knockout on Julian Marquez.
Oh, was that
That's
just
worth
a
watching.
what kind of knockout was it? Just a good punch?
Yeah, I believe if I remember right, I think it was like almost like it's like I'm almost positive it's right. Watch me be completely wrong, but I think it was a right hand, but it was like one of those like kind of shovel hooks. There's one that kind of like they're like an uppercut, but
Yeah, yeah.
it's kind of an awkward, but it landed just. It was but it was multiple punches
Yeah, yeah.
that did it. That hurt him. You should watch that because that was very quick, so that would be an easy one for you to catch up on.
Nice.
Bruno Fajeda, that was a good. He's a dangerous middleweight dude. Have you seen him?
I don't think so. Let me look him up. Let me see what he looks like.
He just came. He just came from the Contender Series a couple years ago,
Yeah, no, I
and then
don't
you figure,
I don't think I've ever watched him fight.
dude, his UFC debut, he got that RoboCop Gregory Rodriguez and knocked him out in the first round.
Oh, damn.
Dude, so it's like right away you're like, all right, man. And then his only loss in UFC is to that Rosbayev, that beast.
Oh,
That
yeah, that guy.
yeah, I think he trains in a gym in Philly. Doesn't he train with like Joe Pfeiffer and those guys over there?
Who,
I think.
Rosebayev?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think that sounds right.
But
Somewhat. Yeah, yeah,
I
I'm
hate
pretty
it.
sure. Yeah.
That's four out of five of his last fights by first round knockout. So
We got to
it
keep
was
an
a
eye on
spinning
him
back.
then.
Oh yeah, and it was a spinning back elbow too. So it's kind of cool. You should check that one out.
Yeah.
But it was and we could pretty much talk about the other ones and because they're worth mentioning, especially Rosas Jr. How awesome he is
Yeah.
at his young age, man.
Yeah, those are the
Continues
only
it.
three fights that I watched was Rosas Jr., Reyes, and the main event there. And Rosas
And
Jr.,
they're
what
also
was up with Ricky Tercios? He was like mad at him. He didn't want to touch gloves. It looked like he had they had some bad blood or something, but and the
feel like
stare down was super intense at the weigh-ins and
they're
everything.
Yeah, there must be something there that I'm not definitely not aware of either. But it was pretty much that 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 dude, this his potential can be pretty wild considering his age, man.
Yeah,
He's
Roses
still
Jr.
19.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
man, he's still
nuts.
19.
And he already has
You
three
figure,
wins.
oh God, man, yeah, and he looks good in it. He's not. He's at a good weight where he can't really like. It's kind of tough at those weights to be like manhandled. For you figure it's a lot different than being a. Imagine being like a 19-year-old heavyweight. Like
Yeah,
you could be dealing with a whole different some different puzzles that you're just not ready for. But at least with bantamweight, it's like you might take losses, but I just feel like it's a little different.
yeah,
As far
yeah.
as you mature. Um, but it was yeah, they all had great storylines. Him being his age, Dominic Reyes finally getting one against a tough opponent. That's not tough. That's not easy to finish. That
Yeah,
was
both of us didn't have Reyes winning.
I did not. The only because it was
Only
gonna
because
see
what?
it, and it's just because you hadn't seen it in a long time, so I just
Yeah.
didn't know if we were gonna see it again. And then it was also just coupled with it's the highest level competition. If he
Hmm.
jumps over to PFL, he might be knocking those guys out, but this is just the highest of the uh of the discipline. I mean, you still can't argue it.
The
It
cream
doesn't
of the
mean there's
crop.
not. Yes, it doesn't mean there's not fighters that are just as great and belong in the against the top in the world on other places, but to say that UFC doesn't have the best product and the best collection of fighters is like, come on,
Yeah. Well,
it's
there's some of these
it's
like, even some
they're great
unranked.
fighters.
There's some unranked guys in the UFC. I'm sure that could be in the top three of these other organizations. They're young and hungry and great fighters. And dude, it's like imagine what the up and coming fighters are going to be like 10 years from now.
The
It's gonna
level's
be
so crazy.
it's gonna be
Yeah,
insane. Yeah.
yeah, can't imagine.
So yeah, Dominic Reyes looked great. I mean, and this Jacoby came on him pretty hard, pretty fast, and he kept his cool, and then he ran him down and took him out pretty quickly in the first 2 minutes, I think, right? So, and that could have
2 minutes
easily went
exactly.
any other way, but hey, Dominic Reyes kept his head, kept his chin up, kept his head, on tight, and put him out, and it looked great. And he gets to go home and not have to worry about injuries. He can get back and get another fight going, which I think he should do if he's able to. Just get right back in
Get some
there and
momentum
yeah, and start climbing the ladder again. Because I actually
in a
like
big fight.
watching him fight, and he's very like lanky. He's like great size and shape for for fighting in general. So he could make another run. He's got time.
Yeah, he's dangerous. Oh,
Yeah.
he's for sure dangerous. So we'll see. It's all like does he fully have his confidence back? Hopefully he does because he had some you have some pretty bad losses and then some pretty long layoffs on bunched together.
Yeah.
That's got to mess with your confidence. So, but this is like perfect for him. Get a big win, and so it would be nice to see him. I'm kind of be looking forward to seeing who they give him next. I'd imagine it's going to be someone pretty big right away.
Well, he was ranked, I think, 15 for this fight, wasn't he? So definitely a top 10 fighter, I'd assume. That'd be my
That
guess.
makes sense. That'd be great. And then also on the main event, Imavov had a big win.
Yeah,
He
and
also moved.
I don't know. What do you think? Because I watched that whole fight, and like, I think Cannonier had every round before that round, right? Like he was controlling the fight. He had him up against the cage most of the time. I don't know. What do you
He
think?
looked good. I might have had it a little more even, but early on, especially the first round and a half, say, Cannonier seemed to be like, okay, he's got control and he was going to maintain, but then it just seemed like Imavov is he's dangerous, man. He's a dangerous striker. So,
Yeah,
um, Cannonier, as tough as he is, I feel like he has a lot of the same entries and the same almost like mechanical strikes where it's like, what's coming
yeah, very
as opposed
predictable.
to,
Yep.
yeah, it's dangerous because he can, but Imavov's just like so unpredictable. He's like kind of like the way he strikes is like more like a snake. Just
Yeah,
like
he's great
you
at
really just don't know.
angles, and he's like a sniper, dude. And
Yeah, very
he's a
much.
big dude. He's bigger
He
than
is.
I thought he was. He's a huge guy.
Yeah, 6'3". Yeah, he is a big guy, but he's also quite a bit younger. That's a factor. I mean, Cannonier does not look 40, but the fact is he is 40. So
Yeah. Also, what did you
he's
think of
fighting someone 29.
what did you think of that stoppage?
Oh, it's not a good stoppage either.
Yeah,
Yeah,
horrible
but
stoppage.
yeah, yeah. Like he's not showing you what you necessarily want to see because he's kind of running a bit, but he's moving to get space. He's moving to get kind of his legs back. He's moving.
Yeah.
So it's like I understand it didn't look good, but there wasn't enough to stop it. Not that big of a fight, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But
Like
Cannonier
he
wasn't
wasn't beat up at all. Like he was just yeah,
exactly.
like
So I
you
was gonna
said,
say
creating space to defend himself and maybe get off a punch of his own. And we've
it
seen
didn't
that
look
so many
great,
times. Someone,
but that's what you do.
yeah,
That's what you're trying to. You got to get away. You got to clear space out and kind of
you should
clear
only stop
everything out, cobwebs, everything.
and I'm not a ref, but I think you should only stop the fight if the guy cannot defend himself. Right? Like that's why
Or
they
if
stop
he's,
him.
um, I think if it's,
Or
I
if you're
think if he's getting
out.
beat up, if he's getting beat up quite a bit, and he seems to be like he's quite a bit tired too. Neither of those were the case with Cannonier. But
Yeah.
if you see like maybe both of those things, that means they can't really defend themselves, even though they're still on their feet. It's just going to take one, and you know it's coming.
Yeah.
Then it's like, what's the point? But that's not what you had there.
Yeah.
Cannonier was still dangerous if he could just recover from the shot that hurt him. But so that one I definitely see as being a bad stoppage. But
And then
it's
people
unfortunate. It's not
would
Imavov's
yeah.
fault.
And then people would argue, well, that was going to be the end anyways. But you got to give the guy a chance. You know, you can't just.
You don't know that.
Yeah, you don't
You
know
just
that.
don't.
Like I said, like I
Yeah.
was going to say, we've seen it a bunch of times. You get some guy's getting his ass kicked. He gives himself space, puts himself against the cage, and throws a haymaker and lands. And now the whole dynamic of the fight is completely flipped upside down. Like that Czech Congo
Or Pat Barry. That
Pat
was
Barry
wild.
fight. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And that was a long
Or
time
even
ago.
even easier scenario where the Imavov kind of comes at him wild and then he overextends with a strike and then Cannonier is like more or less tackles him instead of takedown
Yeah.
and then lays on him for a minute and survives.
Yeah.
And you have a fifth round. Wouldn't you rather like it just you can see that the Cannonier was still there. You just kind of wish it wasn't the worst stoppage I've ever seen, but it wasn't a good one by any means. So
Yeah.
too
And
bad.
not, hey, they got a
Big
tough
fight for
job. Those refs got a tough job, and I think the UFC should always stand by their decisions, even though they're not always going to get it right, man. Like it's hard,
yeah.
and it's in the heat of like battle. They're making these big decisions. Um, you just wouldn't want to see something like that on like a title fight or something, and not that this fight wasn't important for these two fighters. Obviously, it doesn't matter what it's for. This is their livelihood, and but they're human. Mistakes are going to be made, and I'm sure the the rest of the refs will go back and look over the tape and talk to him about it, and hopefully it'll just happen less. That's all you can do, right?
It's just that I look at it a little different, just because it's one of those things where if these fighters are all asking for the same thing, I feel like you should give them that. Like if they have still more to give, you got to give them that chance to maybe give that opportunity to do that. And that's why I don't like those stoppages because uh, it's not good for the winner either because then there's a little bit of a cloud or an asterisk on that win when there really shouldn't be because he won. He's the one who hurt the guy. So he's the
Yeah.
one who, but you still have to give that respect, even though it wasn't particularly a good stoppage. But then at the other side of it, it's like, wouldn't you rather see that though? Like if you're a fighter, you kind of want to, yeah, it's one of Cannonier's getting close to towards his end too. I would imagine. So he's had a long career, 3 different weight classes. He's 40, so you got to give him the opportunity to win these big fights.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
little more than that. That's all. I just feel like the ref has to have that mentality more than protection at that point. These fighters are plenty capable of protecting themselves.
I
It's
know, right?
just
Yeah.
this is just a fight. It's just they're putting it all on the line. You got to give them that opportunity to possibly save themselves to get into that fifth round of a fight they might have been winning.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. I think the ref has to be a little more aware of those things and have those in mind. Like, okay, Cannonier's winning this fight. I should probably kind of give him every shot to recover here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the
But
only argument to what you just said would be, then there's a line of, and I think this is probably a ref's main job and main goal is to be as safe as possible to protect the
sure,
fighters from themselves. So that's a fine line of like when is it okay to stop a fight and when is it, that's really difficult to figure out in the heat of the moment, given the circumstances, who's winning, who's losing, how much this fight means to people. Like it's hard, it's tough. But I think in the end, referees usually err on the side of safety over everything else. And I don't know, I think he got it wrong
for
this
sure.
time, but yeah, I don't know what he was thinking, but hey,
All I would, but all I would say to that would be it's just about like the damage, like if an eye swollen shut or if like it's bad damage on the fighter themselves throughout the like accumulation of shots in the fight. But it was a pretty competitive fight where they both kind of landed, but it wasn't nothing overly significant until that fourth, right?
yeah,
As far as like damage, as far as that really hurt the other.
yeah,
But I just feel like if it just gotta, I think the ref has to be a little closer to the fight on that one and just knowing that
yeah, I agree,
what's
yeah,
going on. Yeah, it's just one of those things. Like it's not the same thing as like one of the fighters have his entire side of his face kind of rendered useless because he can't see.
yep,
It's like then he can't protect him from himself. So it's like I don't think that fighter can argue a referee stopping a fight in that instance because he can't defend himself,
yeah,
especially when it's something like head kicks and things. But it's like that's not what that was. It's a bummer when it ends on that note on a main event.
well,
But
it is what it
that's
is,
a bit
and
downer.
yeah, here we are, and Imavov, that dude's got some really great fights ahead of him, and I like watching him. He's a great fighter. And I
For
picked
sure.
him. I picked him to win.
You did nice. Okay, cool. Because it
Um,
sucks for him too, dude. It's like then it makes his win seem less legitimate in some
yeah,
people's eyes, which is not correct. So
yeah,
it's like it sucks for both sides.
yeah,
But Imavov, man, yeah, he's dangerous.
yeah. He's got a lot coming for him, and I can't. Yeah, that's gonna be good. They're middleweight, right?
Yes. Who do you like? Who do you like for him fighting next? If he's right on that,
Oh man. Well,
what is he
I've
ranked?
seen a lot of. Well, I'm guessing that puts him in the top five. I think he was 7, and Cannonier was 4 or something like that. Does that seem right?
Okay, Canadian.
So that probably puts
I
him in
would
the
say
top
that sounds
5.
about right.
And
Okay,
I've
about
seen
top
some
five.
people online talking about him fighting the winner of Whitaker and Chimaev, but I
Oh,
feel like that's a number one contenders fight. But I don't know. Or Strickland's going to wait for a title shot. So actually, maybe winner of Whitaker Chimaev. You know?
I have no argument to that. We'll see what happens with that Whitaker Chimaev fight. I kind of curious to see that one. I'm super excited for.
Yeah, couple weeks away. Um,
Daytime fights, Jim.
yeah. Oh,
You know what
jeez.
that
Do you
means,
hear
Jim?
these
You know what
kids?
that means,
There's
Jim?
kids downstairs. Sorry for anyone
I
that's
thought that was
listening.
I thought that was elk.
Elk, yeah. In
Yeah.
Oregon, it could have been elk, but it's small children.
Well, it's same thing, same
Yeah.
sound.
But yeah, I think I don't know who else is in the top 5 for middleweight. Let's check.
Okay. Uh, so was Strickland right there? Costa, were they both in? Wasn't it all kind of bunched of them with Whitaker? Whitaker, Costa, Strickland,
Here we
in
go.
there. You said was four. You pretty much put Imavov in his spot, essentially.
All right, middleweight. We have Sean Strickland, Adesanya,
Yeah.
Whitaker, Cannonier. Well, all right, this hasn't been updated, but Marvin Vettori, Brandon Allen. Brandon Allen's fighting on that card. Which one was it? Was it the Conor McGregor card? No,
Oh, nice.
Manchester.
Okay.
Manchester. Sorry, Brendan Allen's on Manchester
Okay.
card.
July 27 or something.
So then Imavov was at 7. Then you have Paulo Costa.
Okay.
Chimaev's actually at 10. So
Cover.
so with Whitaker at 3 and Chimaev at 10, and then you got I mean, yeah, they've got at least one more fight before a title fight, I would think, because you have Adesanya and Strickland that are up for the title. You would think. So
Yeah, it all just depends on what Adesanya's doing. Is he coming back yet or not?
yeah,
That's one, and then two, it's going to have to be Strickland. Could
yeah,
run it back with Duplessis if nothing else, and then talk anything else. But it would have to be that
yeah,
because of how close that fight was the first time, and Strickland just beat someone who's right in that top, whatever you mentioned it was, top 5, top 7, or whatever. But it'll be interesting to see what route they go, and it all depends. It really depends on what happens in that Whitaker Chimaev fight.
yeah,
I mean, what happens if I don't think it'll happen. I'd be surprised if it happened. What happens if Chimaev just melts through Whitaker? You
yeah,
might be talking about a whole different thing
yeah. That's a
as
whole
far as
different, yeah.
yeah,
And we talked about this
as
last
far as
week.
title shot.
That's the cool thing about UFC. It's not just about wins and losses. It's about how you win and how you lose. That can,
A little bit of style points, a little
yeah,
bit,
for sure. Especially because
not
that's
as much as
gonna,
college football.
which is it's kind of cool because it kind of ties into like pro wrestling. It's like if you have this crazy performance and you run through somebody, the fans kind of dictate where you go next, right? I mean, the
Sure.
whole point is to sell tickets. And if Chimaev, like you said, melts through Whitaker and in Saudi Arabia, and people are like beside themselves, like, you're going to want to give him the next best fight that's possible, So,
Oh, for sure. So it'll, like I said, it'll be interesting to see. Let's say come July 1st, it'll be interesting to see what the narrative is then at that for this middleweight title picture,
yeah.
because it could be a whole different ball game. Especially if you never know, Adesanya could be like, I just don't care. Like what does he really have to prove at that point? He's had like 2 full careers in 2 different combat sports, one titles. It's like, so it's like you just never know.
Yeah.
If he's out, that changes the whole complexion of, especially if a guy like Chimaev has a big win. So
Yeah,
um,
what do you think Adesanya is going to do next? Now that we're talking
I
about the division.
I don't know. It would make sense. That would be a big fight to come back for. 'Cause, I mean, you kind of cut your promo with him. I'm sure you both imagined that fight was going to happen, and it didn't, right? Because he lost to Strickland. But
Yep.
they had that face off and all that, so it's like it just seemed like it was about to happen. So it's that would sell big. So
But right now,
um,
with Strickland being in the position he's in and
sure,
still being
yeah,
active, it's like how do
and
you
holding a win over Adesanya, it's
yeah,
big,
how do you
right?
overlook that? Well, I guess it's UFC. They can do what they want, right? But
Sure,
if they gave
yeah,
Adesanya the immediate title fight against Duplessis, like I'm sure Strickland would have a lot. Well, he'd have a lot to say about it either way, but
yeah.
rightfully so. He'd have a lot to say about that. I think, right?
I would say so for sure. Um,
Triple threat match. Let's do it.
Funny.
I don't know. Yeah, I haven't heard anything about Izzy in a while. Like he's been pretty quiet. He's kept whatever he's thinking close to the chest, and I guess that's smart, you know.
Sure.
And like you said, he doesn't have much to prove anymore. I mean, he's done it all in his weight class and in the sport. So I don't know. I think now it's probably, well, he's already made a ton of money. I was gonna say
That's what I mean. It's like
he's only gonna want
he's done it all, man. He's like,
to, yeah.
so it'll be,
What about him
I'll
and
be interested to
Imavov
see.
or Imavov? That'd be a fun fight to watch.
Sure. Yeah. There's definitely more new blood coming up in middleweights that
Yeah,
fights coming up for sure. So it'll be interesting. But I believe the dude in the co-main event, Jim, of next card, next Saturday,
yeah.
I think his only loss is to Chimaev before UFC.
Which one? Ikram Aliskerov?
Yes. Yep.
Dang.
Yeah, he's 15-1. He has one loss by knockout to Chimaev. So it's like there's no shame in that.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's a great segue. Let's talk about next week's card. What do you think?
all right,
Oh,
that
Miles
one.
Johns.
Yeah, there's some good names there. I like that fight. Let's see, I'm gonna scroll. We'll go bottom here. Yeah, no, there's some good names that there's one of these sneaky ones that'll have a lot of like good really good fights on, especially in the prelims.
Yeah. And all these
But
young
Alex
guys are
Karoff is
like,
the name to watch.
they got everyone's, oh, Jimmy Flick.
Yeah,
Um
Adam Fujita and Josh Quinlan will be a fun fight. I'll back off. I think I've seen him too. Joshua Van, I definitely have. That's a good flyweight fight. Ulan Bekov, I've seen. He said, Jimmy Flick, the dude he's fighting, Nate Manis, he's a tough fighter. That's why he's a pretty heavy favorite.
Oh yeah,
Um,
there you go. Yep.
Brady Highstand, I haven't seen him fight a ton. Garrett Armfield, I have. Yeah, there's like I said, that just those. Even if you just circled those like 4 or 5 fights in that middle there, that's that sweet spot I think of
Yeah.
this card. But it's a lot of lighter weights, so it's one of those ones where I think it has a lot more potential for like very high volume, high technical fights, which I like those ones.
Yeah, for sure. And like these young guys, they're always looking for performance
Big
bonuses
splash.
and all that stuff.
Yep.
And, so yeah, it's gonna be good. And then we're like we said, we're 2 weeks away, I think, from Saudi Arabia daytime
I
fights.
can't
Man.
wait for that.
Oh,
I can't wait for that card. That
yep.
card's so good. There's a lot of really good fights.
Well, also, I
Looking
figure
forward to
we should talk about this because I got you on
yeah.
the phone. Celtics game 2 tonight. I know it's not MMA people, but if you're listening to this at a later time, the Celtics are playing Dallas Mavericks in the NBA Finals. Both Dan and I are from Boston, huge Celtics fans. So, what do you think, man? It's game 2.
Be tough. It'll be tough, and it'll be, I would imagine, a long series. But all I would say is I really like what I saw in game 1
Yeah,
with the way they moved the ball, the way they play defense. A lot of disruption on defense. A lot of steals, a lot of blocks, a lot of just, like I said, Jaylen Brown just seems like a problem
yep. Mm-hmm.
for matchup wise for them.
And
Porzingis for sure.
Porzingis for sure, yeah. I mean,
Uh,
that's one thing I was
yeah.
happy why Dallas won was because they're not really a big team, whereas Minnesota's more
Yes.
of a bigger team, and I think
They
that would
are
be a little more difficult for us matchup wise.
for sure, 100%.
I shouldn't say
And
us. We're not out there playing. I don't know what the hell I'm talking
no,
about, but
no,
you
I'm
know what
gonna
I mean.
count.
Yeah.
I'm on the couch, but no, it's also nice to see like Tatum facilitate a little more. He's kind of just been more
Yeah,
focused on rebounding because they've also been the number. I think they've been the number one team in the playoffs rebounding wise, which is huge
that is huge.
if you're
Yeah,
looking at a championship team. So
and
they've done that.
their
Him and his
biggest
assists and his rebounding, it's been big.
yeah their biggest downfall last time they were in the finals, in my opinion, was turnovers. I feel
Big
like
time.
when the Celtics have like over 12 turnovers, they they're just done. There's like almost no way
It
they're gonna
muddies up
win.
everything. Yeah, it's muddies up everything. It's terrible for them.
Yeah.
It's not good for their style.
But they've been better about that. One thing that's driving me nuts though lately, and I think it's NBA all around, is just people can't hit their free throws. Like,
Yeah,
what's
that's
going
tough to
on with
watch.
that? I'm like, it always, it's going to come down
I've
to
been
like
t-
2 or 3 points at the end, and you didn't hit
Jim, I've
your
been
free
telling you.
throws.
Jim, I've been telling you. You got to just watch more college basketball. That's the
Ah, I know, I know.
best version these days, in my opinion.
Yeah,
So, but they were just MMA for the most part.
yeah. We'll just stick to MMA.
Next weekend's card will be good. It's one of those later cards on the East Coast, so I'll probably watch it in the morning. Kind of nice with coffee to do
Nice.
that on
Yeah,
Sunday instead. But looking forward to it. I'm always looking forward to fights. So
yeah.
the Saudi Arabia one's big, though. I love
Oh,
those daytime. It's
June.
great.
We're only halfway through June, Dan. Not even.
Wild.
Yeah, we got a
Let's
lot of
go.
fights ahead
I'm
of
ready.
us. But let's end this one here. We did a good 45 minutes. That's pretty good. For
Cool.
anyone listening, thank you for the support. And just be sure to share and subscribe to both our Spotify and our YouTube page. We also have an Instagram, and you can find that on Instagram at Pinnacle_combat. Our YouTube channel is the same name, Pinnacle_combat. Yeah, any and all sharing and subscribing and all that is much appreciated. So please tell people that you know that enjoy the sport of mixed martial arts, and hopefully you enjoy the show. And in the coming month or two, we're gonna make it a little bit better. We have some ideas in the works, so stay tuned for that. Dan, anything you want to end off with?
No, man, I'm just always looking forward to watching the next week's fight. So we'll watch that. Go from there, and then, I mean, that's all I'm thinking about this month as far as that Saudi Arabia card. That's a whole day. That's a whole day, Jim. That's a day thing.
Yep,
That's a you make plans for that. That's a great one.
that's a
So
good one. Yeah.
very much looking forward to it. But no, I appreciate anyone listening, and I'll try to get maybe a little more people involved too. It would be nice, but
Yeah, we create
no,
this
that
little
was great.
community. We'll create a little community for ourselves, and we can talk. And I want to hear other people's ideas. I know we're just talking to the ether here, with our opinions and ideas about all kinds of things. And if we had just a small handful of fans, or just listeners and people that liked you know talking about fights or whatever, it'd be just so much more fun for everybody. So yeah, subscribe and tell your friends and share on Facebook and Instagram and whatever, and we'll keep doing this once a week. So, all right, Dan, let's end it there. Thank you for listening. Thanks for being here, buddy. It's always good talking to you.
You too, brother. That was awesome.
All right, man. I'll talk to you soon.
All
Peace.
right.